To speak English like a native speaker, you need to be able to use question tags. Look at this girl. She's studying, but it's difficult. Someone comes to her and says this. You're finding that difficult, aren't you? Notice the words at the end, aren't you? They don't seem to add any extra meaning to what is said. But native speakers of English do this all the time. And this is an example of a question tag. You are finding that difficult, aren't you? Compare with the next example. Here we have a person with a manual. Did they read the manual? What do you think? Let's listen to the next example. You didn't read the manual, did you? Here are two different question tags and they have slightly different purposes. So let's analyse what they are. First of all, in conversations, question tags are used to either check information, intonation goes up, which I'll explain in a moment, or confirm agreement, intonation goes down, which I will also show you in a moment. Let's look at the first type, where you check information. The first example does that. You are finding that difficult, aren't you? Now, intonation going up means the tone of your voice goes up. And that's what happens here. You're finding that difficult, aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you? The intonation goes up. And here it's to check information because the person speaking is not completely sure. The person speaking here thinks that the girl is finding the studying difficult. But because they're not sure, they add this question tag, aren't you? And that's really a question. And it means, am I right? You're finding that difficult. Am I right? You're finding that difficult, aren't you? So this is a question tag that checks information to see if they're right. They don't know if their idea is correct or not. Now compare with the next example. Here we're confirming agreement. You didn't read the manual, did you? Notice here that the intonation goes down. Did you? Did you? Did you? By the intonation going down here, we're indicating that we are certain of the situation. We are certain that this person didn't read the manual. And by saying, did you, we're saying to that person, come on, agree with me. You know it's true. You didn't read the manual. You must agree with me. It's true that you didn't read the manual. So you're looking to confirm agreement by using intonation that goes down. There's also one further difference to notice between the two question tags. And that is that the first one starts with a positive clause, you are finding, but then in the question tag uses the negative auxiliary, aren't you? So notice here we have the NT, which is the negative, aren't. Compare that with the second clause. Here we have a negative clause. You didn't read the manual. But in the question tag we have the positive auxiliary. Did you? And this is an important feature of question tags. The question tag is opposite to the sense in the sentence. So if there is a positive sense in the sentence that comes before, such as you are finding, then the question tag becomes negative. Aren't you? But if there's a negative in the clause, you didn't read the manual, then the question tag becomes positive. Did you? So we can do this with any statement we make. Use the normal auxiliary that you would use in a question for that statement. So if you use the verb to be, for example, then you use to be in the question tag. But if you use other verbs, general verbs, then you'll use do or did in the question tag. If you use the present perfect have or the past perfect had, then have or had would go in the question tag. And you can use these question tags as a feature of your conversation to do these two things. Either to check information to see if you're right, where the intonation goes up, or to confirm agreement with the listener, where you're saying to them, I think it's true and you know it's true too. We both know this is true. And here the intonation goes down.